Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you join me again today. Just to give other attendees time to join, probably we can begin at 3:10. So let's pick it up at 1 second. So for this currently in, we have 3 more minutes before we begin just to give more time for more attendees. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I think it's safe for us to begin. Um, we're just experiencing some slight technical issues, and I think within a minute or so, we'll be ready to start the webinar. Okay, I think it's safe for us to proceed, and since apologies for the delay. So as you know, this is our monthly webinar, and we go through the and various feature that comes with the platform itself. Just of what FarmCloud does. FarmCloud is a software platform that is used to record your daily farm activities. So it helps you track from the beginning, which is planting. It helps you track from the beginning, which is planting, all the activities that are usually done in the farm, that is fertilizer application, if you pruned, um, if you did weeding, so on and so on up until harvesting. From harvesting now, all the accounting, maybe you sold something, you bought something for your farm, that's also accommodated in the platform. We also have the weather insight like feature, and we also have a farm show whereby you get to view all the device on the farm side. So as we progress with the session, kindly if there's any questions that you have that you want to speak to, let us know. We're happy to. So first things first, we'll begin feeding information to the house, and that's usually done on the farm aspect section. And under farm aspects, we have two sections, that is farm elements, fertilizers, and agrochemicals. So under farm element section, this is whereby we'll have to indicate the specific type of structure that we are dealing with in our farm. If it's a greenhouse, if it's a children, uh, to begin, have a greenhouse, it has um, as enough, you can select if you want a metallic or a wooden one. The size, you can go with 250 square meters deep. So after adding the structure, the next thing is to get from what exactly are you doing in a specific structure. And if you can believe from our previous webinar, we had launched the seed propagation feature, whereby even if you're not doing the normal planting and you're doing seed propagation, we have a section that accommodates for that. So let's do one for plant and one for seedling just to refresh our mind. So let's see. We can select the variety. to select the quantity filter. There was actually last webinar. It is that at least we can have more units of measurement after you've indicated the quantity. So if you've indicated you planted 100 seedlings, and this can be
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel. I am a co-host again alongside Stacy for our monthly FarmCloud webinar. And in a few moments, we are going to go through the remaining parts of FarmCloud. So we'll go before we start, let me know if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me kindly. Right. Okay. So we'll start. We'll start with bias. Then we'll move to accounting. And then after that, we'll go to farm stuff. Then we'll finish everything off. So for buyers, I'll take you through how to create a buyer, how you can use this buyers module to record the buyers whom you transact with in your application, and how to invoice these buyers, and through all the process until you receive payments for your products that you have sold. So essentially, the buyer's part is for you as a farmer to record your buyers whom you transact with into your farm so that you can be able to create invoices for them. Once you create the buyers, you'll see the list. This table will be populated with the information about the buyer. You can create as many buyers as you want, and you can also archive the buyer, uh, edit the buyer information. I'll show you all that. So let's begin. If you want to add the buyer, there's a button, label that buyer. So you press that button, then you'll have this form where you fill the buyer's currency. This is the currency which the buyer is transacting with. I'll say Kenyan shilling. The buyer's first name, the buyer's last name, and then the company name that the buyer represents. If the company name is not present, you can fill in the first name and the last name as the company name. So let me say present limited. Then there's email address. We'll say then the phone number. This is the buyer's phone number, the buyer's email address, and fax is optional, as well as the website is optional. Okay, so the email address is and then now we have the billing address of the buyer. We have to enter street address 1. Let me, for example, name mine as lane 1. Then street address 2 as lane 2. But remember, you have to record the buyer's address so that you can be able to see the buyer's information, and you'll use these addresses when creating our invoices. Then the country is Kenya. Here we have a checkbox that reads shipping same as billing address, which means that if the shipping is the same as billing address, that is shipping address, you check the box. If it is not the same, you uncheck the box. Shipping address is where you will be shipping those products to, and billing address is where the invoice will be directed to. So here we say shipping is the same as billing. Then we add notes and attachments. Can say present buyer. But notes and attachments are things that you wish to identify this buyer with. Maybe if you sell capsicum to this buyer or wish to sell capsicum to this buyer, you can record, or maybe tomatoes, you can say. And you can add attachments that you wish to identify this buyer with, maybe certifications or maybe identification and payment terms. Here for payment terms, we have invoice period and payment method. Invoice period is the number of days that the invoice will remain open until it is settled. You can say 10 days, it is in days. And then the payment method is either M-Pesa, cash, or bank. Say M-Pesa, then we add the buyer. Now, once the buyer has been added, you'll see that the buyer information will appear at the buyer listing page, where now you can be able to edit the buyer information or even archive the buyer. Okay. So here we have our buyer. We can edit the buyer information, or we can also archive the buyer. When you'll be able to confirm whether you want to archive the buyer, once you archive the buyer, you'll be able to unarchive the buyer. If, let's say, the product that you're selling that buyer was out of season, now it is back on season, you can be able to restore the buyer and proceed with your transactions. And then now that you have recorded the buyer, let me show you next to the accounting module, where we have our products and services, income and expenses. I'll start with expenses, then products and services, then income. But if you have any question about the buyer, let me know so that I can answer the question and you can progress to the expenses. I'll give 1 minute. If there are no questions, then I'll proceed to expenses. If you're all good, you can give me a thumbs up, then we can proceed. Yeah. All right. So for expenses, we have two types or categories of expenses. We have general expense, as you can see, and also we have farm element expense. So for general expense, these are expenses that are not that you have incurred generally in your farm, maybe paying laborers, plowing, those kinds of expense that were not specific to any farm elements. Remember when Stacy was presenting, she presented how to create a farm element, and inside those farm element is where you create your plants, which you can create reports for during each farm activity that you'd undertake. Now we'll start with general expense, then farm element expenses. If you want to record expense, Again, there is a button labeled Add Expense at the top right of the table. You press, then you choose the expense type. So for general expense, they apply to the entire farm as I had shared, and they're not tied to any particular element. Select general, and then next. So here we have category, supplier, dating card, cost, payment method, and the receipt, which serves as a supporting document for this expense. So for category, we'll do, let me show you a very general type of expense. We'll say, yeah, land lease fees. Then you'll say supplier, you can say is agrochem. So, and for supplier, if the supplier is not listed, you can add a supplier through contact. You can, let me show you how. You can either say other or you can contact us and we'll be able to add it for you. Then let me take it back to Crop Care Hub and record the dating card as today. Then the cost was, let's say it's 1,000. Payment method, we can choose M-Pesa. Then here for supporting document is optional. So you can share a receipt or any other supporting document for you that justifies this expense. Then you can add a description. You can say land lease. So for you to add a receipt, you press the input field. Then the input field, you'll select, say, pictures. You select one. And you can see that the field has been pre-filled with the name of the attachment. Then you add. Now, you see this expense type is general, and the total expenses are 127,000, which includes general 122 and family 5,000. And you see our status is pending. Now we can approve this expense and it will be added to the total expenses. So we approve the expense and it's a total of 128,000 as part of the expenses. Previously it was 127. Now you see it's 128. Then I'll show you next how to add the other type of expense. You press back, element specific, next, which is also very easy. It is similar to what we've just done. Select the category. Now let me show you farm agrochemical. You select the element name. Okay. Let me do it again. From element, say that element, say agrochemical, then supplier, costing card, say 2,000 this time. Permit method, you do M-Pesa again. The attachment, and then say agrochemical expense. Then so the same procedure that you use for adding one type of expense is the same one for adding the other type of expense. And once you accept, you as a farm owner, once you accept this expense, it will be added to your total expense. See, now we have 128,000. So it will change to 130,000. Let me know if there are any questions so that we can proceed to product and services and then to income, then we can finish off. In the meantime, for expense, you can edit the expense and you can also delete the expense. For editing, You can be able to edit to correct any errors that you may have made when recording expense. And also and it will be updated automatically. Let's say 400, 4,000. Then we need to also set it. So it will be 132,000, which is very simple. Then if there are no questions, let's move to product and services. So for product and services, there are two types of products. There are those products which you grow in your farm, and when recording daily work reports at the planting stage is harvesting. Once you reach harvesting stage, the plant will be automatically moved to product and services so that you can be able to create invoices for it and send the product to buyers so that you can receive money for it. Then there are those products which you do not grow in your farm, such as services, and you also, let's say, you lease to other farmers or buyers. You can also be able to track them using FarmCloud. So here we can add a product manually, since the other type of a product is added automatically. So you can say product name, let's say um, service, then the measurement, process, and then say 2,000 tries. And, and now you can see that our solar dryer product has been listed here, which we can edit, we can archive, and we can delete. So for the other type of products, you see we have a big bell, high quality, low quality, and red capsicum, which is a crop harvest. So for crop harvest, you'll be able to see them in the product section automatically once they reach harvesting stage. And it's that easy to add products to your FarmCloud platform. Once you've been able to do that, then you'll be able to create invoices and bill them to buyers. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Then you can proceed to the buyer's part. All right. Okay. Then let's proceed to the other section, which is the income. So for income, we have two parts, invoices and payments. So for invoices, these are invoices which you bill to buyers, and payments are payments that you have received for your billed invoices. So I'll show you how to create an invoice and what this table means. It's easy. First, here it lists the buyer, the invoice number, the due date of that invoice, the invoice amount. This is the amount that you created the invoice with, the original amount for that invoice, the amount that has been paid out of this, and the remaining amount, and the status if the payment is overdue, if it is partially paid, or if it has been completely paid. So let's start with adding an invoice. So we have our invoice number. Invoice number is automatically generated for you if you leave it blank, or if you wish to track it manually, you can enter the invoice number. You can say then the date issued. This is the date of issue of that invoice. We'll issue it today, and then we'll give a due date of maybe, let's say, date 5th of next month. Then here we select the buyer. Remember, uh, when we started, we added our buyer. Now we can look for that buyer. and then you can be able to add the buy. Let me look for the buy. Dun, 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 dun. Then you remember we also added the billing and shipping address, as I had demonstrated earlier. For billing address and shipping address, if the billing address for this invoice is going to be different from the shipping address, you check the box so that you can be able to fill the billing address and the shipping address. If the billing address is the same as the one which we created when we were creating this buyer, you can leave it as that, then you can proceed. Now here, for invoice items, you remember the products and services that we created. They can be the products which you created manually or the ones which transitioned from the harvesting stage to the product. Now you select the product which you want. We had solar dryers, two solar dryers, which is was the description. Then you can say two, and unit price was say 1,000. Here, you have to select the tax if the product you are invoicing is subject to tax. Mine is not. Then see the amount is. The total amount is 2,000, which is the quantity time multiplied by the unit price. And then you can be able to add another product. You can say Bell High Quality Harvest, Big Bell High, yes. Then you say 100. And then unit price for one, let's say 1,000. And then tax, let's say it has a 16% tax. So when you are creating a new account, you'll notice that this tax won't show. You have to press this add button here so that you can be able to add the tax name and also the tax rate in percentage. Then you click save and it will be added. Now when you're here adding tax, you'll be able to see it from the drop down. Then the payment method, mobile money. Here for payment method, if you choose a mobile money or a bank payment method, you'll have to add a payment method for the first time. So you can say mobile money. If it is send money, you select the phone number. If it's pay bill, you select the business number and the account number. If it's TIN number, you add the TIN number. You can say, and then this means that if you want to save the payment for future use, you save it. And then you add. Then you select the TIN number and then the notes, if you have any, say solar dryer and big bed high. So now when you come to this other side, we do have our subtotal. If you wish to include the discount to give that buyer a discount, you either select percentage or cash, and then you type the discount here. If you wish to include a shipping fee, let me include discount of say 2%. Remember it is percentage. Then include a shipping fee of say 1,000. Then tax breakdown, you can see it's here, and then our total amount is the total of the taxes and the total of subtotal. Subtract this, then you save the invoice, and its status where we can be able to download it, sending it physically to another person. We can close the void the invoice if the buyer has rejected the product. So if there's no more transaction between you and the buyer, and you can also delete that invoice. Now, once the invoice has been created and it is time to settle the money for the product, it's simple again. You receive payment, then you select the buyer, then the mobile money, it is the payment method, and then the receipt date, total amount received. Let's say 10,000, let's say 100. Yeah, is in cash, and the invoice it's this one, and you'll be able to pay for 100,000. Then again, we have a reference number for this receipt. It is optional because once you leave it blank, it will be auto-generated. And then we have the notes for this buyer receipt, and also attachments. So you can drop on a supporting document. Let's say and then once we've confirmed everything is okay, we save and close. Now you can see that our invoice has been partially paid. If now the buyer completes the payment, you'll still come over here, do the same process again. Say 20 for that invoice. Say 16, 9, 16. Then we can add, and see that the money has been paid. Since the status is. Now, if you go to payments, you'll be able to see we have a payment amount of 100,000 and also another one for 16,060, which is what we have recorded. And with that, we've concluded the accounting part and also the bias part. Let me show you, if there are no questions, farm staff, how you can invite other FarmCloud users into your farm, maybe as farm managers or farm workers, so that when you are away, they can be able to record reports for you for the activities that they have done in your farm in your absentia. Then we have Farm Shield, and then we close off. So for farm staff, you can be able to invite users, and you'll see them here as active users. Invited users are users who you've sent invites, but it is pending. Then to invite staff, you click that button, and then you only need their email address and the role you want them to do, from manager or from worker. So let's say from worker, and then you send the invite. It's that simple. Now, once they accept the invite, they'll receive an email, then they accept the invite, and then they'll be able to log in into your farm and work inside your farm. Then you, as a farm owner, will be able to approve the records that they create, maybe expenses and the likes. Now, I'll invite Stacy so that we can go through Farm Shield, because Farm Shield you have to reach out to Stacy, then we'll send engineering team, and they'll be able to evaluate your farm for you, and they'll give you the best practice and the advice that you'll need, so that for you to be able to have a farm shield device in your farm. So if there are no questions, let me welcome Stacy.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sam, for the elaborate explanation. I don't know if there's any questions from anyone before we can conclude the session today. If there are no questions, kindly feel free to share thumbs up. Okay. I think at the beginning of the session, I had shared with you the discount offer. We're still in Black November. So if you'd want to take advantage of the promotion, we're currently offering up to 50% promotion. If you'd love to upgrade your account, we also have a trial period for you to experience the full features of the platform before committing to a subscription. So if that may be of interest, kindly feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to guide you through the entire process. Otherwise, we're very grateful for your attendance. Thank you so much for constantly supporting Cinepa, and we will see you during our next session next month. Thank you so much, everyone, and have an amazing weekend.